our family, don't necessarily always think about whose roads they are, whose transportation assets they belong to. All they know is they want a safe mobility for themselves and their family. And so this is a great opportunity for the state to partner in these initiatives. If you go to the next slide, Greg, we're talking a little bit about the program overview. And what that means is that what this is, the U.S. Department of Transportation is looking to support these early stage transportation infrastructure projects in rural and tribal communities through the Rural and Tribal Assistance Pilot Program, RTAPP. The next slide talks a little bit about what these projects are eligible for. So in a nutshell, if these projects are eligible in other DOT funding areas, they're eligible for this project. So they can be used for feasibility studies, project planning and preliminary design, revenue forecasting and funding financial option analysis, environmental reviews, economic assessments and cost benefit analysis, public benefit studies, statutory and regulatory framework analysis, value for money VFM studies, evaluation of long-term project sustainability, and the exploration of private financing and project bundling opportunities, which is really important for us here in the state of New Mexico as we're looking at ways to finance all our transportation projects. So the next slide, if you'll move on, I'll hand it over to Andrew. And Andrew, if you want to, we're going to kind of double team this in some of the strategies to strengthen your application. And this slide goes with the next slide, which also talks about the policies on bullet number 1. So Andrew, I'll turn it over to you. I think you're muted.
Sorry about that, guys. I've been having problems with my laptop as far as being able to hear and people being able to hear me. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Can you hear? Okay, cool. All right, thank you.
I can hear you. Are folks able to see the slides? Just to check, sorry.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
So I'm going to bounce in and out of, even some common eligible project examples within the state of New Mexico. So this is the application strategy to strengthen your application. So it's alignment with US DOT policy goals. So these goals are not just aspirational. They're used to evaluation criteria for funding programs like RTAPP. Projects that align with these priorities are more likely to receive support, project advancement potential, provide clear scope, timeline, and deliverables along with demonstrated experience and confidence in cost estimates, strengthening of partnership, especially for multi-community grants. And so when we talk about RTAPP, as far as like road and safety improvements on tribal lands, so examples would be like a narrow, unmarked, or crumbling road on pueblos or reservations to create safety hazards. And so RTAPP's eligibility would fund a feasibility study and safety audit for redesigning or resurfacing hazard road segments. So an example of that would be, a study to improve a 2-lane route through like Jemez Pueblo, which is lacking signage or lighting. Can we go to the next slide?
As we're going through the USDOT strategy policies, I just want to ask Angelica, who is our tribal liaison. Angelica, are you able to introduce yourself? Are you in a place where you can introduce yourself? Angelica is our rockstar tribal liaison here, who is committed to making sure that our relationships are strengthened and that we're providing the technical and community support for these types of issues. Angelica, if you have a moment, I would love for you to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your role here.
Yeah, of course. I'm not too sure if you guys can see me or not. I apologize. I am on the road, but I was able to pull over. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you so much for having me here all. My name is Angelica Trujillo, and I am the tribal liaison for the NMDOT. I'm here, of course, to support you all in your roles as well with the different, projects that you have at any stage of the project. If you have questions or anything, I'm here to answer those. I appreciate all of you that are here and attending this webinar and the additional resources that we'll have moving forward. Again, thank you all. I apologize. I'm not able to fully be on there, as I believe I'll probably lose service as I'm about to head through the Taos Canyon. I'm headed to Taos Pueblo to have one of our regional transportation planning meetings. So again, I shared my contact information in the chat. If you need anything, feel free and reach out to me, text, call, email, whatever works for you. I'm here for you all. So thank you again. It's been an honor with working all of you so far, and I look forward to working with you in the future on this and further opportunities. Thank you so much, Jerry.
Yeah, thank you, Angelica, and we're super happy to have her as part of our team here out of the executive office. She works directly for Secretary Ricky Serna, like I do, and his leadership is really what has us here today, making sure that we're supporting our tribal and Pueblo communities out throughout New Mexico. So I'll turn it back over to Andrew as he talks a little about when we talk about alignment with that US DOT strategy. Here's some of the outlined alignments that you can really focus on, and he'll give some examples as well.
So thanks, Jerry. So US DOT strategic goals, we talk about safety, and I think I just went over one of an eligible project example. So that would be reduce transportation-related fatalities and serious injuries across all modes, promote a safe system approach, especially for vulnerable road users. And the one thing I think we need to make clear with RTAPP is this is for early stage work. So if your community has an idea for improving transportation, but no studies or plans yet, RTAPP can fund these first steps. And New Mexico is a priority state. So many of our communities qualify for rural or tribal and USDOT, and they're actively trying to invest in underserved areas like ours here in New Mexico. And part of that is to create economic strength and global competitiveness, which also improves infrastructure to support supply chains and economic growth. And it invests in rural and underserved communities to boost local economies. Another big point is the equity, and that's to ensure transportation systems are inclusive and accessible, address historic underinvestment in disadvantaged communities. And then a big one here with us at NMDOT and USDOT is climate and sustainability. So it's the support of transportation to clean energy and zero emission vehicles, which we are working on proactively here out of the Office of Secretary and Special Projects, as we ourselves start to look at fleet transition for the state of New Mexico to zero emissions vehicles. And then you have transformation, so advanced innovation through research, automation, and smart technologies, and then modernized systems to meet future transportation needs. And then organizational excellence, so improved data-driven decision-making, workforce development, and customer service, and to ensure transparency and accountability in federal investments. So the one thing we want to say with RTAPP is don't wait until your project is shovel ready. This program is made to help you figure out your project and become shovel ready. There's no local match required. So this is a federal funding that doesn't require your town or tribe to put money in. And that's extremely rare today, especially with federal funding. So this is something worth definitely taking advantage of. So when we look at community impact, it's to address transportation challenges, show economic, environmental, or social benefits, demonstrate robust community engagement and tribal consultation supported by letters of endorsement from local, state, and stakeholder partners to validate collaborative efforts in project alignment. So one thing that we can't underscore enough is how important that community collaboration is. So if you can get letters of support from county commissions, mayors, community members, that all helps strengthen your application. Can we go to the next slide? So demonstrate readiness. Since awards are first come, first served, early submission is critical. Prepare all materials ahead of the portal opening, which is September 8th. We're about 5 days away from that now. It's 2 p.m. Include a well-defined scope of work. In general, eligible projects include those that are reasonably expected to be eligible for other DOT funding and financing programs, timeline deliverables, identification, and expert firms or staff you plan to hire. And one thing that we are committed to here at NMDOT is providing you all with some of that technical assistance in that writing. So if you guys need help in developing a scope of work, NMDOT is so vast. We have architectural, we have right-of-way, we have so many different facets here at NMDOT that we could help make your application as strong as it can be. The other thing is the biggest challenge is often planning and paperwork. So RTAPP helps hire experts to prepare studies, environmental reviews, or designs that make it easier to get construction funding later. Can we get to the next slide, please? So grant types, $20 million has been set aside for tribes. The grant type, the minimum award on a single project is $250,000. The max award is $2.5 million, and it's one community. And can we get the next slide, please? So the key dates and tips again. So the important dates are Rural and Tribal Assistance Pilot Program Application Portal opens on September 8th, 2025 at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And it closes on October 8th, 2025, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. So please make sure you guys make note of that because that is 10 p.m. Mountain Standard Time here. And once that portal closes, the portal is closed. So use the official RTAPP portal, not the grants.gov. And projects funded in FY22-23 are ineligible for FY24. So if you've already applied and received funds, you are ineligible for FY24. And again, no local match is required, so focus on maximizing federal support. Next slide, please. And again, Jerry and myself are available, as is Angelica. So please don't hesitate to reach out, email us. Again, we are here to help with that technical assistance and support if you guys should need any assistance at all. And if we don't have those answers somewhere inside DOT, I'm sure we do. And you have full access to all our staff. And if there's some encouragement I could give you all, it's to start small with a focused idea that addresses a clear problem. Again, just the importance of the early submission. It is first come, first serve is the nature of RTAPP. And the benefit of collaborating with neighboring communities and tribal partners is extremely important. So get those letters of support and get those other stakeholders involved and engaged. It really helps strengthen your application.
And Andrew, I think one of the things you said about the problems, identifying the problem is critical. Don't worry about the solution. If you don't have a solution, that's okay. Part of the funding can go towards finding the solutions to the problems you have. What's most important is identifying that problem and the location, the specific location of the issue, and the solution can come through the request for the funding, because at times we don't know what the best path forward is. We need to get those studies, we need to get those documents together to see what the solution is. And so that process is part of the RTAPP as well. So we want to make ourselves available. I know it's a 20-minute presentation, but what's most important here is all of you. So we want to make sure that we give you the opportunity to ask us questions. If there's anything that we missed, that we need to get back to you, we're happy to follow up. But we want to, Greg, turn it over back to you and Anna and see if there's any questions or anything, discussion that needs to take place to really make sure that we're providing you what you need in today's meeting.
Yeah, and while folks are thinking about their questions, and thanks DOT for being on the line and so available. Gregory has a few more tips about the application that he can share with everybody too. But if anyone has questions, go ahead and raise your hand or put it in the chat. We'll also have opportunity after we review this next short portion.
Just 1 second, pulling up my slides.
Andrew, Ann has a question. She would like a recap of the funding amounts and set-asides, if you have that at hand, or Gregory.
So I think that was the slide that showed the $250,000 minimum, $2.5 million maximum. Yeah, there
Have
you
it
go.
here as well. Yeah, so the minimum is 250,000 and max 2.5. This is raised from a minimum of 200,000 to 750 that was in the last cycle. So they're really trying to get this money out into communities.
And you see
I wanted
sorry, and you see that $54.2 million available now. I think it's important too, just to relay that multiple communities that show economic benefit can apply for the funding, especially those that are tied to economic growth and vitality. And so, you could do like a tribal economic connector road, right, which encompasses maybe Mescalero Apache Resort to show the economic benefit, of a degraded road or limited access to tribal tourism or economic centers. Those are big things that will help the application process. And so utilizing that set aside funds to do scope and engagement, to design safety and pedestrian routes, planning safe walking and biking paths, for students, all those will provide a strong application.
Thank you, Andrew. I wanted to show you, this is from the eligibility tool that DOT has, and we'll be sending out both our slides and DOT's slides after the presentation for everyone to peruse. As you can see, basically, as long as you're not in Albuquerque, you are eligible for this funding. So the vast majority of the state is eligible. We talked about eligible products and categories. I wanted to move on to some of the, sorry, my slides are moving a little slow. Okay, here we go. Application components. We have a preview of the application questions. There are 13 of them. And it's a web-based application form, pretty simple, and will launch on September 8th. There's no graphics or attachment or links, and there's a word limit for most of the questions. And again, as a reminder, just make sure that UEI is correct and valid, or they'll have to kick it back and then you're at the back of the line again. So the first 8 questions are, what's the name of the organization, address, UEI, and location of the project. For question 9 is where we get the first narrative aspect. This one's no more than 500 words, and it's a little bit confusing here because it asks for estimated total project cost. That'll be the big thing you're looking for. Say you're planning a bridge and you're going to do some feasibility studies for the bridge. It would be the cost of the feasibility studies plus the bridge plus anything else. So big total project cost. On question 11 is where you'll put in the amount of money you're asking. So that amount from 250,000 to 2.5 million, you're going to put it here in question 11, where you discuss the appropriateness of the services. So what planning activities are you asking for funds for, and how will these lead to the project goals? So here are the criteria that they're looking at for that question 11. And you could keep an eye on these 3 bullets here, but you want your project to be reasonably likely that the proposed activities will advance the project. It's probable that the necessary information or data needed for the proposed projects will be available by the project start, and that there's a need for that transportation need has been identified, and it's likely that there will be a solution found. On to application question 12. This is about viability. So it's describing your organization's experience in procuring advisement. So have you hired consultants in the past? What does that look like? And if you're looking to hire staff, do you have a job description ready? These are just showing that you're ready. Once that money is available, you could get started with the project quickly. So this is just your time to demonstrate that you're experienced in procurement and you know how to hire staff. And also that the cost estimates and quotes are reasonable if you've gotten those at this time. And as always, when we're looking at these narrative questions, make sure your goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound within this grant. I'll be hosting some office hours if you want to discuss any of this further on Thursday and Friday at 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. And again, the links are in this once we send it out to you all. And now we'd like to take some time for questions. And I could stop sharing.
Thank you, Gregory. I wanted to say thank you again to DOT, Andrew and Jerry and Angelica. It sounds like you are very ready to talk with folks about specific projects or thoughts about needs that they have. Thank you very much for that. And thank you for bringing some specific examples of highly fundable projects as well. Does anyone on the call want to ask at this point about projects or?
I think there's one in the chat. Pablo had said our project concerns an isolated rural road that serves small communities at the Texas-New Mexico border. We have been denied the federal applications we submitted in the past. Why is it so hard to obtain funding for such a road? Well, as far as it pertains to this project, our RTAPP is for planning, not for construction. So if your past applications were for paving, rebuilding, or resurfacing, they may have been rejected because RTAPP is not a constructions grant. But RTAPP might be able to help you study the road conditions for safety and risk, analyze traffic, environmental, and economic impacts, design the early engineering or planning documents needed to go after bigger grants like RAISE, Infra, or the Tribal Transportation Program Fund. And I think the other thing is to maybe help strengthen your application to understand is that you must tie the road to US DOT strategic goals. So a lot of RTAPP applicants fail to directly connect their project to US DOT's 6 policy goals, which are used to evaluate the eligibility. So you need to show your road improves safety, it boosts economic strength, serves underserved or tribal communities, and builds climate resilience. So without clearly aligning at least 2 or 3 of those goals, even a deserving project would probably score low. So just some key points there, Pablo, to help you. I'm not sure what applications you've put in or what the scope of your work looks like. But just making sure that in your future applications that it's clear and it's defined, and then again those letters of support that show that interaction cross agency is extremely important. So sorry, Pablo, I don't know why your application process has been so hard, but maybe those are some tips to kind of help you navigate through that process.
And also in DOT's description of some sample projects, they did have this one at the bottom of the screen here. So surface transportation products, and again, not construction, but planning, within the boundaries are functionally connected to an international border crossing. So this seems to sort of hit that area. So if you would highlight that, Pablo, I think that would help as well.
Yeah, by telling that story and connecting it to those sample categories of projects, they put that out there for a reason. I mean, we actually put keywords, key buzz words that, and those are things that'll raise awareness for the story that you're trying to tell. So I think just from the little bit that you put out there, I think that's a perfect example of how it can be tied to those USDOT priorities from a project perspective.
Thank you. And Anne asks in the chat, do projects need to be along an existing road? For example, could a pedestrian bridge over a rail line and a walking path from the train station to the part of town that has hotels and restaurants be eligible?
Again, yes, I think that does serve for eligibility, as long as you can make those ties back to those key points that we had talked about. So it is about ensuring safety and economic development. If you can highlight and point all that out there, especially if you're trying to do a new walking path or improve pedestrian safety, then yes, those would be eligible.
Also from the chat, Diana has a question. Are you still able to upload letters of support if the application does not allow attachments?
I think you could just indicate in those text box that you do have letters of support and then list where they're from, minding the word limits. I think you could use that in the viability section to, say that you've discussed this with relevant members of the community and you have their support. So I think that would be the space where you indicate that.
And if I can go back just to the last question, just you mentioned, I also want to make sure that there's multiple key points from our USDOT strategic policy goals. So like the pedestrian bridge over a railroad, also linking strengthening economic growth in the area, and also creating opportunity around economic opportunities. You want to hit on all the areas. And so I know that bridge isn't only about safety, it's also about providing opportunity for economic growth in the area as well as safety. So like it's not only one or the other, but like everything that project brings is critical to strengthening that application. And so those are the kind of areas, if you need help with, like, from us, we want to make sure that we're here to, jump on a call, jump on a quick Teams meeting. You can bounce things off us. And, we've been pretty fortunate. I've gotten up to, I can say from a federal awards, not to brag, this is not a brag session. We're all in this together. But we've had huge success at the Department of Transportation. And so we want to make sure that we're parlaying our success in how we're doing things through our grant writing into success for the rest of you. We had a $63.8 million carbon CFI grant in Southeast New Mexico. We've had the Nogales Bridge. We've had Border Connect projects. Almost $500 million in total grants over the last 3 years. So we want to be that support to you. We know what we signed up for. We know our role, and our role is to be a support to each and every one of you to make sure you're successful. Because as I mentioned before, our friends, our family, our neighbors, our communities don't care whose roads they are or whose assets they are. All they know is they need to be safe. They need to get to where their destination, and we need economic vitality throughout our communities across New Mexico. And so at the DOT, we know what we signed up for, and that's to be a support to each and every one of you.
I'm going to put a last call out there for any questions. This is a good opportunity while we have DOT folks on the line and available. If you, there's no dumb questions here. And
all right.
if not, yeah.
I was going to say thanks so much. Thanks so much, Jerry, Andrew, Angelica, Gregory. Thanks so much for your help now and your help as people work on their applications. We will be sending these slides out to everyone who's registered, and as well as the recording, and we'll send that out in our newsletter shortly as well. So thanks so much for participating. Take advantage of all this support to make your next steps go forward.
Thank you.
Thank you,
everyone.
Thanks, everybody.